President Bola Tinubu has directed the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, and military chiefs to move to Sokoto State to intensify efforts to rid the northwest region of terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping. The region has been plagued by rampant terrorist attacks, with Zamfara, Katsina, and Kaduna recording the highest number of kidnap incidents.
According to SBM Intelligence, no fewer than 7,568 people were abducted in 1,130 incidents across the country between July 2023 and June 2024. Zamfara is the most in the number of kidnap incidents, with 132 incidents, a number of kidnap victims being 1,639 and 146 number of civilian deaths. Now, joining us is Gbemi Animashaun, who, of course, joins us as a security expert to speak on these things. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right. I mean, from your perspective, what do you say is or would you say is the reality of security situation in northwest and, of course, north central regions? The president has now directed the service chiefs to move to Sokoto. What is the reality of things on ground there from what you know?
Thank you very much. I think it's important we put the new directive, the new presidential directive, in context. And by this, we recall that in 2015, when President Buhari came on board, he gave a similar order at his inaugural speech, where he also, made a vow to rescue all the innocent people in captivity, including the Chibok girls. Down the line, the government claimed to have technically defeated Boko Haram. Then again in 2017, when acting President Oshibajo stood in for President Buhari, a similar order was given that the military chiefs should move to Borno State. Please go with me, 2015, 2017. Then 3 chiefs moved to Borno, the chief of air staff, the chief of army staff, and the chief of defense staff. Now we are in 2024. A similar order has been given. The only different thing now is that we can see evidently that the epicenter has shifted from the northeast to the northwest, but we are still issuing a similar order. As the French would say, the more things change, the more they seem to remain the same. So if I'm going to answer your question about the reality, let us look at the optics. As you are saying, the optics are not encouraging. Also, the safety of non-combatants in the northwest, perhaps all over the country, is no longer guaranteed. So the reality today is dire and damning.
All right. Speaking about the reality today being dire, let's look at the killings that have happened. In the year under review in this report, kidnapping has become more lethal, with 1,056 people killed in 1,130 reported kidnap incidents. On the average, someone is killed each time there is an attempted kidnap, and this is a report by SBM Intelligence. What's the way forward from here? Is it going downhill? Will this order by the president make maybe any more difference in the number of killings that we're expected to see going forward?
Well, as I just, outlined, the new order may just be good for the optics and may just be a good psychological boost for those on the front line. But in terms of having real effects, again, I want to say 2015, 2017, 2024, the same thing, the same style, the same manner. And we expect a different result. I'm afraid we need to think and act differently. So that things will change, we need to start from thinking and acting differently. And the fundamental question we need to ask ourselves here is this: if these outlaws are quick in re-strategizing and, forming allegiance or alliances, as we can see, the Islamist insurgents and the bandits more or less have come into a kind of fusion to give them a staying power against the Nigerian state. Do we have the capacity kinetically to take them out fully? The data will not support that. So the fundamental question we need to ask ourselves is this: do we want to negotiate, or do we want to fight, or do we want to talk? Fundamentally, do we have the capacity for either? So until we start addressing these issues, we may just be wasting life and wasting money. That's my opinion.
I mean, it's scary, saying that, if we try kinetic means, we may not have the means or the resources to win that. That's a little worrisome, because Nigerian
but the data
government
does not support that. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, if we continue to
see.
invest billions every year in our national budget on security, you would expect that we should have the means. And I've repeatedly argued that it's not just, about having the biggest guns. We also need to have proper border control. We need to stop the inflow of arms and ammunition into Nigeria. There's many parts of the conversation that need to be had, aside just sending the service chiefs, to Sokoto. I saw Bello Matawalle yesterday in a video dressed in army fatigue. And anyway, let me leave my opinion out of this. But, I want you to, also tell me.
You're just smiling now.
Yeah. I mean, I saw him dressed in army fatigue yesterday, and I felt it was very unnecessary, to be having these theatrics. I'm not sure what he was hoping to achieve.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to, talk about something, that we've seen lately, which is bandits and kidnappers on TikTok showing off bundles of cash that they've reportedly, allegedly received from their victims. There's even one video where one of the bandits was doing giveaways, and Nigerians were posting their account numbers in the comment section, to one of these bandits. Very embarrassing. But does this in any way tell you that these people do not fear Nigerian security agencies? They are in absolute, they're currently on holidays, just another day at work for them.
They're having fun. That's the fact. Because, what do people do mostly on social media? You have fun, you catch crews, as they say on the street. And that is what they are doing. Don't forget, before the advent of what we can call the digitalization or webification of insurgency, which we have today, it was reported that Boko Haram then also did many giveaways, to people in the Northeast. And this is standard practice among insurgents. They first of all ensure they get the buy-in of the community, because they need these communities, they need the residents, they need the locals of this community to give them legitimacy and to give them cover. Now, the only different thing is that what we didn't see before in the open is now available to us on TikTok, on Twitter, or on X, on social media. So we are just seeing a progression, from what we may say opacity of their act, of their philanthropy, of their generosity. We are now seeing that on the social media, and it tells you something that this.
All right, Mr. Animashaun, if you can hear us, I think we'll probably have to wait for the connection to be once again reestablished. But, the point, that I was hoping that we can make. Okay, Mr. Animashaun, please go ahead.
So what is important for us is, as a country, to also retool and rethink, from our policies to our strategies. So that these people are now appearing on social media and other digital platforms only tells you the extent of their staying power and their capacity to adapt, which we are not seeing on the raised earlier. Do we have the capacity to fight, or do we have the capacity to talk? It's important to decide where our strength lies. Is it in negotiating with these people? Because now, unlike the Boko Haram that will do, signature suicide bombing, these people are making everyday life impossible. They are making everyday life unlivable. And they are fast emerging as alternative sovereigns to the Nigerian state. Why do I say this? They are, instead of going on large scale captures, I think they have adjusted their strategies to just capturing small localities and governing those places. Again, that is why we need to. I reject the description of those places as ungoverned places, because it is an empirical fallacy to say such places are ungoverned. When you have alternative non-state sovereigns imposing taxes, dictating life, and ruling in these places, then what is governance, if not what they are doing? So we are losing it.
All right.
And we need to ask ourselves, do we want to continue on this path? So the webification or the digitalization of insurgency is expected if one is paying attention to the way. If you have your gaze in that area, you will not be surprised that this is happening.
All right, just to bring some more data by SBM Intelligence, between July 2023 and July 2024, there are reports that kidnappers demanded at least the sum of 10 billion naira approximately as ransom, but received a little over 1 billion naira. That's like 9.5% of the money demanded, indicating that kidnappers have become less targeted in their victimology. Looking at these numbers and looking at the way that we have combated or attacked terrorism and banditry, would you say that we're putting in, I think I know the answer to that, but so far, what do you say about the people who say that the current administration is more focused on picking on individuals, journalists, and all the likes than throwing all that effort into terrorism? And the example that we've seen cited a number of times is how easily it was for them to pick up PDOM Nigeria, finding his location. So they're saying that they have the access to these details, and if they can easily pick up these people, why are they not easily finding these terrorists? Is that a concern that you also share?
Well, let me put it this way. The way you go after, first of all, it is condemnable that civil liberties are now under threat. Unfortunately, in a democracy, headed by somebody who touts himself as the father of democracy, in Nigeria. So that is also unsavory to see that civil liberties are now coming under threat. But however, from an operational or technical point of view, what you need to do to take out insurgents or terrorists is not exactly the same thing you need to do to impugn or, to abridge the civil liberties of individuals. But it is bad optics. It leaves a bad taste in the mouth about the government that, yes, bearing out its funds on, as I said, trying to abrogate civil liberties. And this is really concerning, because when you look at the fact that the Police Act was amended to allow an extension, that again sends a worrying signal, because we need. And if you look at the way the labor man was arrested and freed, so it tells you that perhaps democracy may actually be coming under threat, because once civil liberties are not guaranteed, then what it tells you is that non-combatants, well-meaning Nigerians like you and I, we are in danger, because you don't know the next thing you will tweet, you don't know the next thing you will say that will warrant you being labeled a terrorist. So it is really disheartening to be seeing that. Now, why not apply the same measure, the same energy to tracking and apprehending the terrorists. Yes, I think we need to ask the same question. But don't forget, the terrains are different. And the peculiarities are also different, So the kind of coordinated attack, the kind of coordinated operation, combining the intelligence infrastructure, the boots on ground to go after the terrorists, we should not, make light of that and equate it with what it takes to, use digital means to identify an individual and apprehend it. But more fundamentally, it is unfortunate, it is disturbing that a government headed by somebody who fought for democracy seems, please, I must say this, seems, because seems to be abrogating civil liberties. That's disturbing.
Yeah. All right. There's so much to unpack, but thank you very much, Gbemi Animashaun, for your time. I think we just have to have our fingers crossed and continue to make these demands of the current administration to fix what must be fixed concerning security. This is really not a time for theatrics or for excuses either. Thanks for your time again. We'll speak with you pretty soon.